Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mahindra University School of Management. First of all, I would like to thank you for your interest in the School of Management at Mahindra University. And over the next 20 to 30 minutes, I will give you an overview of our vision and our plan for the school. So to begin with, let me share a few data points about myself. So I have received an education in 3 different continents. I grew up in India, did my undergraduate studies in India. I went to Europe, to Spain for my MBA, and then I did my Ph.D. in the United States. Immediately after my MBA, I worked for 6 years in a multinational company based in Madrid, and they posted me in the UK for 3 years and in Germany for a year. I then worked as a self-employed consultant for 8 years based in Madrid, and I have nearly 28 years as an academic, of which 18 have been as a full-time academic. I have traveled and worked in approximately 50 countries. I've been fortunate that I've had the opportunity to do that. And in my academic career, I have held a number of administrative roles. I'm particularly proud of the academic directorship of the CIBS Global EMBA program. So CIBS stands for the China Europe International Business School, where I spent nearly 14 years as an academic based in Shanghai. And when I took over this program in 2010, it was ranked 18th in the world in the Financial Times Global EMBA rankings. And over 3 years, we were able to improve the ranking to 7th. I've been the chairperson for the research committee. I've been on faculty evaluation committees. I've been an external referee for promotion candidates at the Indian School of Business. I've been associated with the Indian School of Business for 17 years as a visiting professor. I have also spent 6 months on sabbatical at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. I've taught there in their executive education programs. And I've also served as external referee for the promotion candidates at IIM Bangalore, in addition to doing so for Sunny Buffalo, the Naval Postgraduate School in California, and ESA Business School in Barcelona. I'm the father of 2 daughters. One is 24 and the other is 21. The elder one has completed her bachelor's degree already, and she's working in Montreal in Canada. And the younger one is studying at the New York University in New York, and she'll complete her studies in 2022. My wife is a middle and high school IB math teacher, and I come from a family of teachers. My late grandfather was a professor of chemistry at Presidency College, Chennai. My late father was a professor of geology. My late father-in-law was a professor of physics at the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. My late uncle was a physics teacher in Chandrapur in Maharashtra. And my sister has a Ph.D. in economics from the University of Texas, Austin. And she teaches. And my brother-in-law is a mathematician. He got his Ph.D. from the City University of New York, and he teaches in Canada. So the reason I'm sharing this information with you is that, I come from a family of academics. I have deep experience in the educational sector. And along with my colleagues, at Mahindra University, we firmly believe that there are certain basics to building excellent academic institutions. And those are a very strong faculty, a very strong and rigorous curriculum, And in the School of Management and Economics, very strong connections to industry. So let me share with you why I gave up an international academic career and chose to become the Dean of the School of Management. I have lived abroad for approximately 37 years, and my wife and I, we chose to come back to India now. So the first one was, I liked the Mahindra Group's reputation as a professionally managed conglomerate. I've had the opportunity of interacting with some of their managers. I visited their automobile plant in Kandivali in Mumbai, and some of my students actually work in the Mahindra Group. I was very impressed by the track record of Mahindra Ecole Centrale. As you know, the Mahindra Group's first foray into education was to set up an engineering school in Hyderabad in collaboration with Ecole Centrale of Paris. And originally, this school was affiliated to JNTU. So I've been very impressed with the reputation that they have been able to establish in just 7 years, and the exceptional quality of faculty that they have been able to draw. You just need to go and look at the faculty directory and the profiles of the faculty, and you will see that they have faculty members who got their PhDs from Harvard, Washington State University, the University of Florida, Iowa State University, some excellent engineering schools in France, and so on. And of course, several faculty members have got their PhDs from the IITs. So this gave me tremendous encouragement that this is a very serious university and they really want to do things the proper way. In my interactions with the board of Mahindra University and with the Vice Chancellor, they repeatedly emphasized to me that their goal is not just to set up another school of management. As you know, there are many, many schools of management in India, but unfortunately, the excellent schools of management are relatively few. And they wanted to clearly set up a school which for them would be a legacy. They wanted this school of management to be their legacy. When I decided to join, the Vice Chancellor was already in very advanced discussions with a leading US university for a strategic academic partnership. And I'm actually fully involved in those discussions now. And we will be making a formal announcement very soon. But this is an Ivy League school, Ivy League university. Of course, Hyderabad is a great attraction because it's a very important educational hub. You may have read in the newspapers that just last week that our Honorable Finance Minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, she said that there would be 9 cities in India that would be designated as educational hubs, and Hyderabad is one of them. So it is very good for an educational institution to be in the company of other educational institutions. And of course, Hyderabad is also a very important technology hub. It has become an important technology hub over the last 20-25 years. And so the ability to interact with other institutions and the ability to interact with industry is relatively easy in Hyderabad. And finally, of course, after having lived abroad for such a long time, I wanted to make a contribution to the education sector of my country. So the vision of the university that has been formulated by the founders of the university is to educate future citizens for and of a better world. And the vision that we have formulated for the School of Management is that the Mahindra University School of Management aspires to become a leading school in India by developing ethical, innovative, entrepreneurial, technologically astute, culturally aware, and socially conscious managers leaders, and scholars who will make a contribution to the development of our economy and society. If you look at any projection by any leading consulting firm or think tank, they are very clear that by 2050, India will be the third largest economy in the world, not far behind the United States. And to reach there, we will need our economy, our industry will need a huge number of well-trained managers. And our goal is to make a contribution in satisfying this need. So what are our core values that we want to promote at the School of Management? Ethics is very strong. It is the foundation for everything that a professional wants to achieve. Without ethics, there is nothing that we can talk about. Today we live in what is being referred to as a VUCA world, VUCA. V stands for volatility, U stands for uncertainty, C stands for complexity, and A stands for ambiguity. And the fact that we live in a VUCA world has been, reinforced by this COVID pandemic. Nobody expected it. Even in the beginning of 2020, we didn't realize to what extent our lives would change in just a matter of weeks. And the whole world, in fact, the whole of humanity has had to make some very, very major adjustments to how they live and work. So the entrepreneurial mindset, that I got my Ph.D. in entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial mindset emphasizes being focused on opportunity, because even in the midst of crisis, you have opportunities. The ability to adapt quickly to change, the ability to conduct small experiments to see what works and what doesn't, to make very frugal use of resources, and to be able to make decisions and move forward under conditions of uncertainty. So that's a core value that we want to impart to our students. Today's youngsters, unlike our generation, perhaps, my generation, they believe they're very idealistic, and they believe in the value of inclusivity, And so I don't think it's going to be very difficult for us to emphasize this value to the youngsters, whether it be race, ethnicity, nationality, color, religion, caste, gender, ability, educational background, socio-economic status. I have studied, dynamic regions in the world, such as Silicon Valley in the US, Route 128, in and around the Boston area, Baden-Württemberg in Germany, Cambridge in the UK, Shanghai in China. And, all these dynamic regions have a few things in common. They all have excellent academic institutions, but they also have a very inclusive culture. If you go to Silicon Valley, you'll find lots of Indians, Chinese, Africans, and people from all nationalities there. And many of you, I'm sure, have traveled there many times. And it is this ability of Silicon Valley to create an inclusive culture that has, led to this amazing, innovative output from that region. So nowadays, any major achievement has to be done in teams, because we are working on projects that involve different types of expertise to be brought together, and the ability to work collaboratively with one another is a very, very important quality for success in our professional careers. And of course, learnability. Unlike my father's generation, for example, when you did your studies and then you worked for the rest of your life. Nowadays, youngsters, even after they have got advanced qualifications, bachelor's degrees or master's degrees, they need to commit themselves to learn continuously throughout their lives. And this ability, what we call learnability, it involves critical thinking. It involves a particular approach to problem solving. It involves innate curiosity. The humility is very important for learnability, right? The humility allows you to acknowledge that there are many things that you don't know, and therefore that makes you much more open-minded. And technologies are going to be changing very fast. So we have already mapped for our program that I'm going to share with you the technologies that our students must know when they graduate. But these technologies, will be superseded by better technologies in the future. And so our emphasis is not on specific technologies, but this learnability that allows them to continuously learn new things as they go along. So, as I said to you earlier, the pillars of excellence of any academic institution are very, very straightforward. It's very simple, actually, So the first thing you need to do is have a very strong and rigorous curriculum. So as I said to you, we will be partnering with an Ivy League university, and it's a very close academic and strategic partnership. And one of the areas where we expect to draw a lot from their expertise is in designing the curriculum. Okay. The second thing, we are looking for studious, hardworking, ethical, and socially responsible students. Like any great institution that has been created, and there have been some that have been created in India, we are not obsessed about large numbers to begin with. So we will be emphasizing quality over quantity to begin with, and we want to start with fairly small class sizes, and we want to attract the right kind of students. The third ingredient, of course, is an excellent faculty. And just as our sister school, the School of Engineering, has been able to put together an outstanding faculty body in just 7 years, we aspire to do the same. So I'm pleased to announce that after I joined 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago, I've hired a faculty member, a professor of marketing, who has a Ph.D. from Temple University in the US, who worked in the US for 5 years, and he's a specialist in digital technologies. He has also published in the leading international peer-reviewed journals, which is one of the conditions for faculty members to join our School of Management. Not only has he published in the leading international peer-reviewed journals, but he has also been cited widely by other scholars in his field, which means that the research impact that he has had is already quite considerable. We will be recruiting very high support staff. I'm very impressed by the quality of the support staff that we have. Some of them are on the call today. They helped me set up this webinar. And finally, we are very particular about the corporate connect. So we are going to create a corporate advisory board, and they will act as a sounding board for us in vetting our curriculum. So, we'll be working both with this Ivy League university in the US and with our corporate advisory board, to develop the curriculum, to make sure that it's not only intellectually rigorous, which is something that we expect our Ivy League partner to emphasize, but that it's also relevant to the market in India. And we are hoping, of course, over time, that our corporate partners will also provide us with internships and will absorb our students when they graduate. In this respect, having the backing of a major group such as the Mahindra Group which has revenues of nearly $20 billion and has multiple businesses, automobiles, tractors, IT services, and many others, is a boon for us. So basically, fundamentally, we'll be providing a very, very strong grounding to our students in the functional areas of the business: finance, accounting, operations, economics, strategy, MIS, OBHR, entrepreneurship, but underpinned by digital technologies, because there is no industry today that has not been touched by digitization. And many, many companies today are in the midst of digital transformations, whether they be modern industries or traditional industries, it doesn't matter. So let me talk to you about the 3 undergraduate programs that we plan to launch this year. And we will be starting our classes in the second half of August. The first one is a BA in Economics and Finance. This is a very potent combination. Economics and finance is a very potent combination. There are not many schools in India that are offering it. There are a few, and I think the best ones are private universities. A BBA, a Bachelor's in Business Administration, with a specialization in digital technologies. And finally, the third program, a BBA in Computational Business Analytics, which we will be offering in partnership with our sister school, the School of Engineering of Mahindra University. So roughly, and I'll talk to you a little more about each of these programs. The BA in Economics and Finance, as you know, there's a great demand for graduates who can work as financial analysts, traders, investors, and bankers. And deep knowledge of economics and finance can be very helpful. So my elder daughter studied economics as a major, and economics is a field that is very, very analytical, and it provides students with a very strong analytical apparatus. Okay, finance, I would say, enhances the employability of economics graduates. So we are expecting to double our growth rates very soon. We'll be approaching 10%. This year, for example, the forecast is that we will grow at approximately 11%. There's a great need, and there are many, many initiatives all over the country to boost labor productivity. And we are shortening the timelines to growth because we are growing at much faster rates. So all of this is going to require people who are very well trained in both economics and finance. So for all our courses, we are going to have, for all our degrees, the BBA and the BA and the 2 BBAs, we are going to have a common core. So our students will graduate with very strong communication skills. They will be able to write very well in an academic and business context. They will be endowed with critical thinking, and they will all have some basic understanding of mathematics. Of course, for BA in Economics and Finance, as I will share with you now, they must have done a mathematics in their +2, because economics has become a very mathematical field, and for advanced financial tools and frameworks, you need some sophisticated understanding of mathematics. In addition to this common core, we will have some specific core courses for this particular degree, and of course we'll have elective courses for students who want to specialize in particular areas. The job prospects are very, very broad, banking, financial services, and insurance, BFSI as it's known. The agricultural supply chain in India, is one area where we foresee a lot of development in the future. There's going to be a lot of processing of the food closer to where it's grown, and the logistics are already improving dramatically. One of the things that impressed me greatly during the lockdown in the months of April, May, and June was that at no point did we suffer any shortage of essential goods anywhere in the country, right? And I think the agricultural supply chains improved already quite a bit in India. People can work in the areas of international economics and finance. They can work in the manufacturing industry. They can work in data analytics. A lot of the BA in economics and finance students go into consulting. They can go into development economics. And of course, we expect a majority of our bachelor's degree graduates to go for higher studies, whether they be in India or abroad. So +2, of course, is the requirement, and we'll be looking for people with strong scores in mathematics. They must have done mathematics in +2, and they must have obtained high scores in mathematics. The fees for this program we have pegged at exactly 2.5 lakhs per year, and then the accommodation and food charges will be extra, and currently they have been pegged at 2 lakhs per year. There'll also be a caution deposit, which is refundable when these students graduate. The second degree is the BBA in digital technologies with a specialization in digital technologies. So this is a very strong BBA program with a very strong grounding in business, but there is a kind of an element of digitization and digital technologies that cuts across the entire curriculum. Because as I said earlier, there is no industry today that is not being touched by digitization. So the digital economy has unlocked new opportunities while creating new areas of competition in both traditional and new sectors. So another way of putting this is to say that digital technologies have created opportunities, but they've also created new threats. Many traditional businesses are struggling because they didn't transform themselves fast enough for the digital economy. Companies are increasingly turning digital in order to cut costs, enhance performance, deliver new products and services, and adopt new business models. Once again, we'll have a common core. Communication skills are important, academic and business writing, critical thinking, and we'll have a course in this degree, in this particular degree, we'll have a bridge course in mathematics. Because for this course, the BBA with a specialization in digital technologies, we will not insist on mathematics in the +2. So we are willing to take students who have not done mathematics after their 10th standard. And of course, this program will have its own core courses and elective courses. So the job prospects today, again, are very, very broad. People with this profile, youngsters with this profile are being absorbed in e-commerce companies, in online businesses, in digital marketing companies, in consulting companies, in media companies, in advertising agencies, and so on. As I mentioned earlier, we are not insisting on mathematics in the +2 for this degree, and but those who have not done mathematics in +2 will be offered a bridge course in term 1. The fees for this degree is 3 lakhs per year, and again, as I said, accommodation and food is extra. And finally, the third program, the third degree, is the BBA in Computational Business Analytics. So there was a very famous statement in 2006 made by a data scientist by name Clive Humby, and he said, data is the new oil. So for most of the 20th century, oil was the most one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable resource. And in the 21st century, data is going to play that role. Okay. And new technologies are allowing organizations to generate enormous amounts of data. And this has now become a very, very valuable resource that organizations want to harness for their decision making. So they need to make very good use of the data that they have within the organization, but they also need to leverage and complement the data they have in the organization with data that's available outside. So they need to identify the right data for themselves. Sometimes the data needs to be refined, and that data needs to go through some analysis and some conclusions. Inferences need to be drawn before decisions can be made. So the BBA in computational business analytics will help students build a strong foundation both in business and data analytics frameworks, tools, and methodologies. This is a degree that we will be offering in partnership with the École Centrale School of Engineering. Roughly half the courses will be business courses and half the courses will be data science courses. Once again, there is a common core curriculum. Then there are the degree-specific core courses and elective courses. India, as you know, has a huge number of data analytics companies such as Mu Sigma, Fractal Analytics, Latent View Analytics, Perceptive Analytics. There are hundreds of data analytics companies in India, and they are serving some of the leading organizations in the world. So, for example, the Indian data analytics companies, many of whom I've visited, are working with companies like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, because India has actually developed some very, very specialized skills in data analytics. And these companies are actually hiring, youngsters who are proficient in data analytics. So if we can combine, a strong understanding of business with a strong understanding of data, we believe we have a winning combination. Once again, so this program is also going to require a high level of mathematics. And so we will only consider for this program high school graduates who have done mathematics in their +2 and have obtained high scores in their math subjects. The fee for this course also is 3 lakhs per year, with accommodation and food being charged extra. So these are the programs that we plan to launch this year. We are targeting fairly small classes because, as I said, we want to focus on quality rather than numbers. And we encourage you to apply to these programs, to any program that may interest you out of these 3. And starting next year, we will be launching other programs. So we will offer a full-time MBA. We'll offer an MBA for working professionals so that they don't need to leave their jobs and while they study. We'll be offering a global EMBA for senior executives, for people who have maybe on average about 15 years of work experience. We'll be starting a Ph.D. in management, and we are already interviewing a very senior head for our Center for Executive Education at Mahindra University, and we hope to start offering non-degree executive education programs starting this year, both open programs that are open to any professional who wants to enroll, but also programs that are specifically designed for individual companies. And we'll be announcing those through our website in the coming weeks and months. So that's what I wanted to say to you today. So thank you very much for coming, and I'm very happy to take some questions from you now. Rakesh and Hemant, are there any questions already?
Yes, sir. If you can just expand the questions window, you can find some questions.
Okay. Is the university conducting any exam as part of the selection process? We will accept the high school exam scores, whether it be CBSE or IGCSE or any other school board. We will accept SAT scores, and we are also thinking of offering as an option another standardized test that is being offered by the Pearson group. We'll make a decision on that this week. It's called Pearson VUE, VUE. And our admissions team will be able to give you more information on that. But as of now, we are not planning to conduct any test of our own. If that changes, we will let you know. When does the application process start? It's going to be starting very soon. We'll be putting our application form online. Rakesh, could you give an idea to this attendee on when we plan to have the application form online?
Yeah, it's going to be around early mid-April is what we're looking at this point.
Early to mid-April. And we are planning to start classes in the second half of August. Yeah, so we will share the application form with you as soon as it's available. So the faculty assessment process before they are empaneled. Okay, good question. So I always tell students and their parents that this is the most important question that you should be asking: who will teach? Who will teach me, or who will teach my child? Right. So we have defined certain criteria for faculty members to be full-time faculty members at our school. Okay. So the first one is if they're joining as assistant professors, right? The junior most rank for faculty members is assistant professor. We expect them to come from. We expect them to have got their PhDs or FPMs from very reputed institutions. So currently we are looking at, in India, we're looking at the IIMs, mainly the older IIMs, and ISB. We might consider PhDs from other universities in India if the advisor of the faculty applicant has a good reputation in their field. So that's the first criteria. For associate professors, people who have some experience already, we want to see publications in the leading international peer-reviewed journals. So in management, there are a number of lists of journals which rank the journals according to their academic reputation. So for example, there is a list called the Financial Times 50 list, which lists the 50 most important journals in management. Then there is the Australian Business Deans Council list, which has a long list of journals, but then they classify them into A star, A, B, and C. So for associate professors, we will only consider faculty members who have published in the Financial Times 50 journals or the ABDC A star or A journals. So the reason we are putting so much emphasis on research is that we want faculty members who are very strongly trained in research, who can read the leading international peer-reviewed journals, because they also need to be at the cutting edge of their fields if they want to provide a cutting-edge education to the students. So that's the second criteria. And of course, for full professors, in addition to multiple publications in the top journals, we also want them to be cited by other scholars. So for example, as I shared with you, the first marketing professor that we've hired, his name is Pradeep Racharla, Ph.D. from Temple University. He has published approximately 12 articles in the very top journals. And he has been cited about 3,000 times by other scholars in their writings. Okay, so they found his work influential enough to cite it in their articles, right? And so our selection process is actually quite rigorous. And for associate and full professors, we'll also be asking for their teaching evaluations from in the previous institutions where they've taught. So we are not interested only in people who are very good researchers and can publish in the leading journals, but we also want people who can engage with students and create an exceptional learning environment. Okay, so our selection process actually is quite rigorous. You can actually see the criteria. We posted an ad in LinkedIn, and if you go to the Mahindra University page on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see the ad and get a feel for the assessment process. And of course, once we have shortlisted the candidates based on their applications, we first do a preliminary interview to try and understand their aspirations and expectations. And then once we are satisfied that they fit with our vision for the school, we invite them to a very formal interview in the presence of the Vice Chancellor, the Dean of the School of Engineering, and we also invite 2 external experts to be present in the interview. I hope I've answered your questions. Is it 100% residential? To begin with, I think yes. As we expand, we may allow the students who are local to actually commute to school every day. But to begin with, I believe that it's going to be a residential program. I didn't mention one very important fact. I mentioned that we are based in Hyderabad, and the university actually has started off with a 130-acre campus. So in the northern part of Hyderabad, there is a locality called Bahadurpalli, where Satyam had its old campus. So Satyam set up its campus here in around 2020, about 20 years ago. Sorry, around 2000, which is about 20 years ago. But as you know, those of you who are from Hyderabad, the IT industry has actually moved to the west and southwest of the city, to areas such as High Tech City and Gachibowli and so on. And so this beautiful green campus was available to the Mahindra Group, and they decided to dedicate it to the university. So approximately 110 acres of this 130 acres will be transferred to the university. And the School of Management is going to start off in one of the learning centers that Tech Mahindra, as you know, took over Satyam. So one of the learning centers that Tech Mahindra was using. So this learning center already has, very modern classrooms, 120-seater amphitheaters, 60-seater amphitheaters, and other, areas for breakout groups, meeting rooms, etc. So yeah. You had accounts and commerce. Yes, that's a very good question. So I suppose you're asking, why do you need to do accounts again? If that is your question, let me tell you that I also studied BCom. I did my BCom from the University of Madras. And when I went to the MBA program, we had courses in accounting, financial accounting, managerial accounting. I even did a course in advanced managerial accounting. So the difference between the accounting that you do in commerce is that your focus in commerce is very, very technical. You You are taught, journal entries, ledgers, trial balances, balance sheets, and so on. In a business administration program and a bachelor's degree in business administration, the focus is on how to use accounting data to make managerial decisions. So from my own experience, I had about 5 years of accounting before I did my MBA. So I had 2 years of accounting in my +2 and 3 years in my BCom. But I still found the accounting in the MBA course to be very, very different and very refreshing, because we were always looking at what does this mean for the manager? How should he or she act on these data, right? So that was the focus during the business administration program. So if you're focused on marketing and entrepreneurship, I would ask you to look at the BBA with a specialization in digital technologies. So there's going to be a very heavy emphasis on marketing and entrepreneurship there. Yes, exactly. So the course curriculum for BBA in digital technologies is, as I said to you, there's going to be a common core to begin with, such as communication skills, academic and business writing, critical thinking. In some universities, it's called logical and scientific reasoning. And then when it comes to the core courses, of course, we are going to be doing all the core courses in a business program, such as accounting, finance, marketing, strategy, OBHR, operations, and so on. But each of these courses is going to have a very strong component of digital. And when the students graduate from this program, they will be very adept at the use of digital tools, such as advanced functionalities in Excel. Microsoft has a program, I think it's called Power BI, which is a step farther than Excel, than even the advanced functionalities of Excel. There is another tool called Tableau. So our students, when they finish the BBA with a specialization in digital technologies, they will be very adept at using these tools, data tools, data visualization tools, but at the same time have a very strong grounding in the business subjects. I hope I've answered your question. And of course, in the specialization, you can choose any stream you want, right? So if you have a passion for advertising and communications, you can choose the marketing stream, right? And then focus on those courses. If you have a passion for finance, you can do that. Let's take the next question. What's the number of students we would have? To begin with, as I said, we plan to start with small cohorts. We are targeting 30 students in the BA Economics and Finance course, 30 students in the BBA, the specialization in digital technologies, and 20 to 30 students in the BBA in computational business analytics. So we want to attract, students who are really motivated, or willing to put in the hard work, and the founding class will benefit from a high level of individualized attention from the faculty members. Let me see. What is the valuation of BBA computational business analysis compared to CS, computer science, with the same flavor which is offered by other universities? So the difference between a computer science degree, I would say, and our sister school, the School of Engineering, offers a BTech in computer science, is that it's an engineering degree, right, with a strong focus on computer science, whereas ours is a blend of business knowledge and computer science knowledge. So we expect our graduates to be able to act as bridges between the managers and the pure data scientists, right? Because our graduates will be able to translate the business needs to the data scientists and will be able to translate the insights generated from the data scientists in a way that's relevant for the managers. Let me just give you an example, okay? In the largest data analytics firm in India, pure data analytics firm in India, is a company called Mu Sigma that's based in Bangalore. And I have actually interacted with the founder of this company. His name is Dheeraj Rajarao. And when they take, engineers, when they hire engineers for the first time, they put them through what is called the Mu Sigma University, because these engineers have good understanding of data, but they don't have a good understanding of business. Okay, and Mu Sigma, for example, does business with Walmart. Walmart is a very big customer of Mu Sigma, right? And so you can't put a computer scientist immediately to work on a project for Walmart. So we expect that our graduates will be able to start working immediately on projects in companies like Mu Sigma and other companies without having to go through additional training at the company. I hope I've answered your question. Let me see, there's another question here. Let me scroll up. So there's a question here that I'm not able to visualize. What the number of subjects we would have? Okay, so essentially in a 3-year program you would do approximately 120 credits. Okay, so some of the credits will be 2-credit courses, which means that you will have roughly 28 classroom hours in a course, and some of the courses will be 3-credit courses, which means that you will have 42 credit contact hours, classroom hours for that course. There may be some very specialized courses which may even be 1-credit courses with only 14 contact hours. So the number of courses actually depends on the credits that the courses have. So one way to think about this is to say that on average you need to do 40 credit hours per year, which means 20 credit hours per 14-week semester. Okay, so 20 credit hours means that in a week you will have 20 classroom contact hours, right? So over a 6-day week, for example, right, you may have some days with 3 class hours and some days with 4 class hours. In addition to this, we will also have lots of team projects where you're working on teams to deliver submissions to the course instructor. You may need to make presentations in that course. We hope to have some live projects that you can work on with our corporate partners. We'll be offering some internships in the summer. So all of this will count toward the 120 credits that you finish with when you finish the program. So roughly, I would say a maximum of 20 classroom hours per week. Let me see, what are the other questions? What total is enough to join BBA, sir? Is there a certain percentage you're looking for in 12 boards to provide admission? So I think, we want students who are serious about academics. But we also our admissions team will be conducting interviews with the candidates. And we want students who are motivated to succeed, So for example, if you want to do the BBA in computational business analytics, we want to see some motivation already where you have done some maybe online course on data analytics, or you have learned R, or you have learned Python. So these would be good indicators for us that you have a deep interest in these subjects. All the courses as of now are 3-year courses. All the bachelor's programs that I spoke to you about are 3-year courses. As you know, the new education policy that the government has released recently opens the door for 4-year bachelor courses. So we'll have to figure out how quickly we could introduce 4-year bachelor courses. One advantage of having 4-year bachelor courses is that if you want to study in the US, you'll be able to apply directly for a master's program in the US after a 4-year program, 4-year bachelor's degree in India. But as of now, we are thinking of these 3 degrees as 3-year degrees. Please tell us more about the PhD. Okay. So the PhD is a program that we will launch starting 2022 at the earliest. So just to give you some comparison points for our engineering school offers a PhD already, and we offer a stipend to the students of 25,000 rupees per month, 25,000 rupees per month. And we offer accommodation and food on campus. We expect the PhD students to work with professors on research projects right from the get-go. So the PhD students will be receiving training in their majors. For example, a marketing PhD will have to do a coursework in their major area, but they'll also need to do coursework in research methods, both quantitative research methods and qualitative research methods, and learn to use statistical tools such as Stata, R, Gauss, and so on. So we are thinking of this as of now as a 4-year PhD program with 2 years dedicated to coursework and then a qualifying exam, and followed by a dissertation proposal, and then the PhD student would have maybe about 18 months to work on this dissertation and defend it in front of a committee. So the model is once again based on international PhD models in developed countries. As I said, we'll be starting the program next year. We will be announcing the eligibility criteria soon for the maybe by the fall of this year we'll be releasing the eligibility criteria for the PhD program. Yes. So Rakesh, could you please take this question? There's a question here which says that although our admissions process commences in April, the CBSE results will be known only a couple of months later. How are we going to deal with that?
So I've responded to the query on chat, sir.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Is there any other question that I've missed out? And there's one question here which says, why can't this, sorry. By considering the scope of each program, why can't this program be defined as a 3-year instead of 4-year? Yes, you're right. As of now, this program is a 3-year program. If you join, you will get a degree after 3 years. We may offer you an option. Some universities, as you know, are offering this of a fellowship in the 4th year, but that's entirely up to you whether you take it or not. You will definitely get a degree after 3 years. No question about that. Okay. Thank you for your congratulations. Rakesh and Hemang, I don't see any more questions.
So the couple of questions which just scroll down.
Okay, let me just scroll down. Could you read them out to me because I'm missing them here?
Yeah. So one of the questions says, will the courses have some time to be spent at your affiliated Ivy League college also?
Yes. So we are in discussions with the university in the US. So as of now, there are a couple of ways in which that partnership is going to pan out. One is, of course, there's going to be continuous interaction between the faculty members of the School of Management and the School of Management of this Ivy League university. That's the first thing. So, for example, in designing the curriculum, so they'll give us feedback on the course outline of each course. They'll mentor the junior faculty if we hire junior faculty here. So that is going to be an ongoing process. The second thing that's going to happen is that we will have 1 or 2 intensive weeks where faculty members from this partner school will come to India and teach our students. Okay. And the third modality of collaboration is for our students to go to the US and spend some time on the campus of this partner university, right? So those modalities are currently being worked out. Yes.
One last question, sir. It says, will you help us in projects, identifying projects, and help with internships, which will help students to get master's admission in US?
Yes. So one of the things that I'm also very encouraged by, for example, is that our School of Engineering graduates have been able to join really top universities in the US, Ivy League universities. And what that means is that the admissions teams in the US at the master's level are already beginning to recognize the quality of Mahindra University. The engineering students until now, right? And so we will be, even whether the students want to study abroad or not, we'll be placing a great deal of emphasis on students working on live projects with our corporate partners. Okay, and we'll also be creating internship opportunities for all our students so that they get some hands-on experience of working in organizations before they graduate. Is there any other question I've missed, Rakesh?
There's a query on, are we offering a twinning program with the top US universities for the 3-degree programs? Is one of the queries.
As of now, we have not entered discussions on twinning. I think those discussions will evolve over time, right? But that is definitely a possibility. But that's not on the table as yet.
We are done, sir. No further questions.
Okay, so once again, my sincere thanks to all of you for your interest in Mahindra University, the School of Management of Mahindra University, and please apply to any program of your choice of the 3 that I've listed in my presentation, and we'd be very interested in considering your application. I will personally interview the applicants at least once. Thank you so much.